Social Security? It's on Exhibit P, April 28th. That's when I was asking you about Social Security. So I messaged you on April 28th at 12:12 a.m. I said I also sent for DD's Social Security and birth certificate. I'm going to apply for Social Security. When they send the original copies, if she gets approved, I will send you copies of all of the documents. Can I show you the message to maybe familiarize you with it? Okay. So now she's reading the messages, and on 184, I say, "Do you remember the message?" She says, "It's here." I said, "Yeah, so that was April 28th of 2021. You had no response. You had no response. When did you start collecting Social Security for the child? What year was it when you started collecting it? Was it 2018?" She says, "I don't remember." I said, "It was about 2018, correct?" She said, "I don't remember." She says she doesn't remember, but you can bring it up on your testimony. And I say, "Yeah, because this was in 2021, but she disclosed the court." Oh, wait, so you have to ask the question. So if that's says she doesn't remember, then you have to move on to the next question. So the judge actually wrote that mom credibly testified that she disclosed this information with me regarding Social Security, and she didn't. And this is clear as day right here. She won't even answer the question. But when we went to the child support hearing that year, that's when she disclosed it with me, and I found out she had been collecting SSI for the last 3 years. And that goes against our custody order. You're supposed to disclose that type of information with me. And for us to be talking about signing, getting SSI together, and for you to just be collecting it behind my back, it just shows your type of co-parenting. I asked the question again. So is it true that before this message, you have been collecting Social Security for 3 years prior to this year? Answer. It also shows that before 2020, you already knew I was already giving you. There's times when I have given you half of her Social Security. No, you're talking about the following year and taxes. So she's coming up with all this stuff to distract me from getting the answer out of her. So I'm saying another question. I said, so it's April 28th of 2021, and I sent you a message regarding that I'm going to apply for Social Security. So are you saying that I've already known that you were collecting Social Security and I've sent you this message to tell you that I'm going to apply for it? Question. Now the judge jumps in and says, sir, you already asked that one. So here goes the attorney. I'm just going to object to the relevance. I don't think it's relevant whether the child receives Social Security or not. And I said, why not? It's a violation of the custody order. She's not cooperating. She's not being fair. Sir, how is it a violation of custody order? Because we're supposed to share all relevant information. That's I believe line 5 in our custody order. We're supposed to share all relevant information. She collected over $20,000 without me ever knowing she was collecting anything. The court, you can do that on your testimony. So right now, do you have any more questions for her? I said, yes, I do. Next question is, so earlier you were saying Sadia is in no extracurricular activities, correct? She answers, from me, no. So she admits that she's in no extracurricular activity. So when the judge is determining the 16 factors of custody, it's clear and evident based off of the record, she is fabricating some of these factors. She says, I said I don't know what she does with you. And I say, right, they were mentioning dance. Have you ever heard of Sadia being in a dance class? She says, no. I remember you mentioning that you wanted to see if you took her to one or something that you saw, and then you mentioned for me to take her to one time or something like that. How many dance classes have you taken Sadia to? She says, I haven't took her to not one because when it's thing, I have either stuff to do, the time frame was messed up, or a thing. So this is one of the things, whenever there's like some type of, whenever she's lying about something, it sounds like a bunch of gibberish. She just doesn't make sense because it's like it starts to confuse you to the point that where you're like, all right, I don't really understand what she's saying, but it's very confusing when she's trying to get out of a lie. It starts getting her speech gets very confusing. So she says, I haven't took her to not one because when it's thing, I have either stuff to do, the time frame was messed up, or a thing. It was only 2 times that it was ever mentioned. And I said, well, her dance class is every Thursday. She says, I didn't enroll her in a dance class. I said, okay. She says, and I have things I have to do. So I said when I have the opening time to do it, then I will be able to do it. If it's something that is more consistent in the same time and everything like that, and I can make my schedule wrapped around it, then I would be more than happy to put Sadia in other different things, but not just because of you randomly deciding something. Everybody has a life and schedule and stuff. I can't just do stuff when you decide you want it to be done. And I said, well, do you remember me asking you if you're able to take Sadia to her dance class once a month on Thursday? She says no. And I said, you don't remember that? She says no. Your Honor, would I be able to give her this message just so she could refresh? So then I question her again. You never agreed to taking her once a month on the third Thursday? She says, I don't remember the dance stuff. That message was on February 10th. March, April, 2 months later, it was one of the days she was supposed to take her. I can't take Sadia to dance class today. My dad is in the hospital. And when I have work, we are going to see him. And when I leave work, we are going to see him. I responded, okay, sorry to hear that. You think you could put it on your schedule 2 weeks from today? Also, call me when you have a chance. So here goes Mrs. Tunis. Your Honor, again, we're getting back into testifying. So I'm going to ask the witness to identify whether or not they're authenticated or not solely based on him offering exhibits without laying any foundation as to whether my client agrees that they're accurate or not, or they accurately depict the entire conversation that occurred. If he wants to testify as to these, then he can do so when his opportunity comes. The court. So, Dad, you'll be able to pull these up and talk about them when you're testifying. Okay, April 28th. Would you be able to take a look at them messages? Because I just want to know this is her and me conversing regarding dance class. Oh, so I didn't give them to her. Is that what you mean? Yeah, April 28th. Do you remember this at all? He's asking you this about dance class. That's you speaking to me about dance class, right? That I couldn't take her because my dad's in the hospital. Yes. And then I say, so at some point in time, did you agree that you would take her to dance class? Her answer, I already said that before. I said 2 times where you had mentioned it that I said if I could take her, I would take her. I already said that before.